which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
I mean, you know, Floyd Mayweather, I think is the best guy in boxing today. But Gotti got a heart like a watermelon, and he's not gonna be easy. This is gonna be a real good fight. And I say this today to you, and I really believe it, and it's true, that since Ali, there hasn't been a better fighter, a better boxer than this kid, pretty boy Floyd Mayweather. This young man has the technique and the ability, which puts him, in my book, ahead of such greats as Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, and all the other great fighters that I've seen in my career. But there is nobody that combines all the skills of pretty boy Floyd.
Keep moving. As for Pac-Man, I'm not sure I've ever seen any athlete, not just a fighter, but any athlete, improve so dramatically so late in his career. From good to great to Hall of Famer, and I'm not even sure he's fought his best fight yet. And I really never thought that I would say this, but are you sure you want any of that, Floyd Mayweather? Well, apparently he does, because dude rolled out of a strip club to a presser Saturday dressed in black because his return to the ring will constitute, in his words, quote, a bank robbery, baby. Take care of business in July, and we will see you and Pacquiao early next year for the fight of the century. And in the meantime, Floyd, heed your own advice and step your game up. And as much
talk to him. The thing that defines his life is that he's undefeated, and he don't care if it means fighting Calderon.
The problem now, it may very well be that a Pacquiao-Mayweather fight can be built up and people can talk about it, but in my heart I know this will be like a hunter running around a ring looking for a deer, and that's not boxing. I mean, Mayweather will not engage his opponent. And that makes a stinking fight. And if people are being asked to spend $50 to watch it on pay-per-view, I can see they would have a reluctance. Now, when sure, he did big numbers when he fought Oscar, but it was Oscar and he conned the people. I'm going to go out and I'm going to knock him out. People know Mayweather now. They know the son of a gun doesn't fight. He fights scared. Now, that's okay. I wanted to mean, if this was like a pitcher, you know, who had a great curveball and struck everybody out so there was no action, it would be great. But he's a boxer and he has to entertain, and Mayweather does not entertain. Outside the ring, yeah, he shoots up cars, he does other things like that, and he entertains. But in the ring, he's not an entertaining fighter.
The all-time greats? You mean the cowardly Floyd Mayweather? He didn't need him. Stop. What do you think of Mayweather ducking Pacquiao? What do you think of that as a fan of fight games? I yield to you. I yield to you on all these things.
Well, you know, the one reservation that you have is that Mosley appears to be past his prime and too old. I mean, a younger Mosley I would have liked over Floyd. Now, sometimes with an old fighter, he can regain his youth. It doesn't happen often, but it happens once in a while. If he did, he would beat Mayweather. But the chances of that happening are rather slim.
I'll start. Okay. I'm starting to think no, and I've said for 3 years, sitting right here in this chair, I believe Floyd is afraid of Pacquiao.
The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C. with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. It's divided in 4 basic stages: demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization.
Thank you. My pleasure. You. Yes, me.